The moon hung low in the cloudless sky, casting an eerie glow over Cyclist's Hollow. It was a place that had once been a haven for avid bikers, a serene and picturesque trail that meandered through a dense forest. But that was before the whispers began, before the woods came alive with something far more sinister than any of its riders could have imagined. As the wind whispered through the towering trees, a chill descended upon the night. An experienced cyclist had heard the rumors but had never taken them seriously. She had always scoffed at the tales of cyclists who had ventured into the hollow and never returned, attributing their disappearances to accidents or poor decisions. Sarah's bike tires crunched softly on the gravel trail as she pedaled deeper into the heart of Cyclist's Hollow. She felt a shiver creep down her spine, but she brushed it off as nothing more than her imagination. The forest was alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures, and the only light came from her headlamp, casting eerie shadows that danced with the swaying trees. The path ahead seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness, and Sarah couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. She checked her phone for the time, only to find that it had no signal. The thought of being alone in the heart of the forest, with no way to call for help, sent a wave of dread washing over her. She continued to pedal, her heart pounding in her chest, when she heard it the faintest whisper, like a voice carried on the wind. It seemed to murmur, barely audible over the rustling leaves. Sarah's grip on her handlebars tightened, and she brought her bike to a sudden halt. Her headlamp flickered, casting long, wavering shadows around her. She listened intently, but the forest fell silent. It must have been her imagination playing tricks on her, she thought. Shaking off her unease, Sarah decided to turn back. The woods were no place to be alone at night, and the whisper had rattled her nerves more than she cared to admit. She turned her bike around and began retracing her path, but something was wrong. The path that had been so clear and well-defined was now shrouded in darkness and confusion. It was as if the forest itself had shifted, rearranging the trees and rocks to obscure her way. Fear clawed at Sarah's throat as she pedaled furiously, trying to find her way out of the labyrinthine woods. The whisper returned, louder this time, and it seemed to be all around her. "Sarah," it hissed, the voice chilling her to the bone. Desperation gripped her as she realized she was lost, trapped in the heart of Cyclist's Hollow with an unseen presence closing in on her. Her headlamp flickered and died, leaving her in utter darkness. Panic set in as she fumbled for her phone, the only source of light she had left. Just as her trembling fingers found the phone's screen, it illuminated the forest around her, revealing a ghastly sight. Shadowy figures, ethereal and twisted, surrounded her bike. They reached out with long, gnarled fingers, their eyes empty voids of darkness. The whispering grew louder, an eerie chorus of her name filling the air. Sarah's heart pounded, and she knew she had to escape. With the last shred of her courage, she abandoned her bike and sprinted blindly into the night. The sinister presence pursued her, its whispers growing more urgent and menacing. As she stumbled through the tangled underbrush, branches clawing at her, Sarah could feel the malevolent force closing in. She didn't know if she would ever escape Cyclist's Hollow or if she would become just another tale of horror whispered in the night. One thing was certain: she would never scoff at the legends again, for the haunting of Cyclist's Hollow was all too real, and its terror would never let her go.